But there was always this voice in me that if I don't respect my dreams, then who will? If I don't fight more for my dreams, then who will?
Welcome to Fry Your Chickens, the podcast about facing fears, negativities, and self-doubts that can hold us back. Or as I like to call them, chickens. Get ready because it's time to tell those chickens that are holding you back to shut the cluck up. We will learn how real people did exactly that. I'm your host, Phil Barth. Let's get ready to fry. Welcome to Fry Your Chickens. My guest today is Dr. Samra Zafar. She is a Canadian, a best-selling author, international keynote speaker, and resident psychiatrist. After surviving an abusive, arranged marriage as a child, she pursued her dream of education and went on to become a celebrated author. We'll talk about her books in a minute. She's also a physician, an entrepreneur, a charity founder, and one of Canada's top 100 most powerful women. Her work focuses on unlearning limiting beliefs, building resilience, and leading with authenticity. More importantly, I consider her a friend and a world-class chicken fryer. Dr. Samra, welcome to Fry Your Chickens.
Thank you so much for having me, Phil. It's such a pleasure to be here and so honored.
Thank you. All right, so first off, tell us about your story. I mean, you had an early arranged marriage. Tell us about that. And when was that moment when you realized you had to take a different path?
Oh, there were so many moments during that journey. So, I came to Canada as a child bride in a forced marriage. I was 16 years old when that happened to me, and my mom just came into my room one day and said, "Okay, you're going to get married." So I didn't have much of a say in the matter. And a few months later, just after my 17th birthday, I was married to a man who I'd never met before, who was much older than me. And a few months after that, I arrived in this big, beautiful, very cold country called Canada, and and started on this new life of becoming a good wife and a good mother and a good daughter-in-law, and these very specific gender roles that I was assigned, and all my dreams of going to school and getting an education and becoming a doctor and making a difference and changing the world, all those dreams were crushed and put aside and invalidated. In fact, many times I was told that I should be grateful for getting to the purpose of a woman sooner rather than later, and not having to go through all of that education crap that some women have to go through. So those are the kinds of ideologies I grew up with. But there was always just something in me, no matter what the messaging around me was, and everybody was telling me that this is my real purpose and this is what I should do. But there was always this voice in me that if I don't respect my dreams, then who will? If I don't fight more for my dreams, then who will? And no matter how hard everybody tried to suppress it, and even at moments I tried to suppress it to fit in and to belong, that voice would never go away. It would get maybe suppressed for a while, or the volume would go down for a while, but it would never ever go silenced. And I remember those early days of my marriage where I would stand in front of a mirror and practice my graduation speech that I would one day hope to deliver, even though I had no way of knowing that I would ever go to school. So those are the ways I kept it going. And over the years, multiple things happened, and little tiny steps along the way, such as like starting a home daycare to save enough money for my first year tuition fee as a part-time student, doing my high school through distance learning, a lot of aha moments. And I think at one point I reached a stage where I decided that I do not want to be sitting there somewhere in this home that is like a prison, and at an old age and wondering, why didn't I do something sooner? I could live with failure, but I couldn't live with regret. I decided that respect is more important than comfort. And yes, it was a comfortable home. Yes, the comfort of knowing what to expect, even though it's not good. Our brains are wired for familiarity. So change is uncomfortable. and the impending change or of leaving a marriage and starting fresh and living in poverty and all of those things that I had to do eventually was very scary and it was very uncomfortable. But my respect was more important than that. And that's what I ultimately chose. And I think the biggest factor for me also was that I have two daughters, and I did not want them to grow up thinking that being treated this way because of your gender or for any other reason is okay. And I didn't want them to normalize the patriarchy and abuse the way that I had been taught to normalize it in my childhood. So I wanted to break that cycle for them as well. And that's ultimately what made me, just take that step and eventually leave.
I got to tell you, I've heard your story in a keynote, and I've probably heard it a couple times, but every time I hear it, I just get chills up and down my spine. So much wisdom you just laid on us there. I love the idea. I love all of your story, but I really love the idea that you were visualizing what it would look like when you gave your graduation speech, when you graduated. What a great way to fry chickens. Every chance I get to come to one of your keynotes, I come again because I love hearing that story. And every time I hear something a little different. So just big
Oh,
shout out
thank
to you
you.
for
The
that
feeling
story.
is very mutual, Phil.
Thank you. Well, thank you
Yeah.
very much. All right, so you took control of your education. How did that shape your the view of your self-worth? And tell me about going through the education process that ultimately led to you becoming a doctor.
Yeah, so I always knew deep down that my path to freedom would be through education. I was always a straight A student in school, and I always was very passionate about school. And growing up in a volatile home, education and my books were kind of my um, escape time, and that was my safe space. So I felt really connected to education. I find a lot of peace in knowledge. So I knew that that would be my path, and if I just kept it going one little step at a time, maybe there will be a way. Like I was willing to take even a tiny step forward rather than just not do anything at all. So when I initially got married and came to Canada, I hadn't even finished high school yet. I was in grade 11 when this happened to me. I was like, okay, I need to finish high school first. How do I do that? The doors were shut, and I was told I can't go out of the house or have any kind of independence or make any friends, and I can't go to a regular high school. So I was starting to look for ways to find ways to do high school at home, and I found the Independent Learning Center. So I would order my courses and I would sit in my room at the end of the day after doing all the chores and my wifely duties and everything. And I had my baby in my lap and I would study. And it took me about 6 years to finish my high school courses. And then another few years to save money while working as a babysitter at home, just saving money secretly on the side every month, and then eventually go to university. And at that time, I didn't really think about what I wanted to do. Like I've always wanted to become a doctor, but I kind of pushed that aside that no, that's going to take forever. And I need a degree that I could get a job, just a stable job to put food on the table for my children. And so I can leave this marriage and I could, be be somewhat self-sufficient. At that time, I did have a knack for business and economics. So I did that. So I did a degree in financial economics, and halfway through that degree is when I left my marriage. And then I did a master's and I started working in banking. And it was good. I learned a lot. I made a lot of great connections and networks, and I was excelling and I was, being promoted. But it never really felt like I'm aligned with my purpose. Then in COVID is when the world shut down and I had some time off and I could really sit with myself and think about what is it that I really want to do. Now I'm not in survival mode. I
Mhm.
don't need to just put food on the table for my children. I mean, that's there. I've made some savings. I have my house. I've stabilized myself. So what is it that I want to do with the rest of my life? And this is the first time I could ask myself that question. Because up until then, my life was all about survival. What is it that I need to do? What is it that I have to do? And then the question became, what is it that I want to do? My want was very much tied to my childhood dream of becoming a doctor. And I talked myself out of it for a while, that no, it's too late. I'm in my 30s now. I don't even have a science degree. What medical school is going to accept me? And then I decided, you know what? I need to get out of my own way. It's never too late to believe in your dreams. It's never too late to go after your dreams. And that's the lesson that I want to give to my daughters. So I decided to quit my banking job and apply to medical school, and here we are. Now I am a doctor. So it's oftentimes I find that we are the ones who limit ourselves, and it's because we've been conditioned by society to believe certain things and to set certain limits. However, when we invite ourselves and allow ourselves to push those limits and challenge them, we will discover that we are a lot more capable than we of things that we never thought of.
So that gets back to the chickens. Well, you're too old. And you just took them and you said no. Those are limiting beliefs,
Yeah,
and you tried them.
absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Love that story. So you have written two books. Tell me about well, let's talk about both. First, tell me about A Good Wife.
So A Good Wife is my story. It's my story of leaving and escaping from my marriage and everything that happened before and up until that point. And it's a book, it's my first book. It's very, very dear to my heart. It's kind of a book that happened to me because I had started by sharing my story when I graduated from university in my first degree in economics, and I was named the top student at U of T. That's University of Toronto, for those who don't know what U of T stands for. And I was getting a lot of recognition, and I started to share my story with the hopes of empowering other people and other women, especially. And it sort of took a life of its own. And over the years, I started speaking at different stages. And that's kind of how my speaking career started. Over the years, I had been invited to share my story in a magazine. And then the publishers read it because that story in that magazine went viral. And then a few publishers reached out to me, and eventually I signed my book deal. So that book kind of happened to me, and it was like, oh my God, what? A book? Really? And then I decided I actually really loved doing this. I really love speaking. I really love writing. So then I started being more intentional about it and honing the craft. So that's kind of what led to the second book. Because when I was thinking about what has been the biggest journey that I've been on, and a lot of people think that when you make a big change in your life, like I did at going to school and leaving my marriage, I thought in my head that my biggest challenge would be to learn new things, like how to pay bills, how to fill gas in my car, how to do all these things that other people seem to take for granted, and I have no idea how to do them. But what I actually realized over the course of these last 10, 15 years since leaving my marriage is that my biggest journey has been to unlearn the limiting beliefs and fry those chickens that I grew up with that were telling me what I am capable of and not capable of, what my limits and boundaries are, what I can and cannot do, what being a woman looks like, what being a mother looks like, how do I navigate the world, what kind of things can I go for, what dreams are realistic and what are not, like so many different things were conditioned in me from such a young age, growing up in a very patriarchal, very conservative kind of a family. And that's when I thought that's the book that I need to write. It's not about learning, it's about unlearning a lot of times. It's about shedding those layers of conditioning to be our unconditional, true, authentic self that can achieve anything we want to achieve. And that's the kind of roadmap that I wanted to give to other readers and other people as well. So the second book, Unconditional, is very much a blend of story and science. So using my own journey of healing as a bit of a roadmap, but then also layering it with a lot of research, a lot of science, a lot of therapy modalities. So that's kind of where my doctor brain comes in, and then offering something that is unique and also very relatable and very applicable to a lot of people.
One of the things I do after this podcast is over is I go through and find the best quote that will draw the most interest, and I put it at the front in addition. You're going to make my job really tough because I've had two or three. I was like, oh, that's great. Oh, that might. And thank you for that. And the whole quote and the whole idea of unlearning is so important and so critical So that might be the one up front, but you know, the interview's not
Maybe I'll
over yet.
drop a few more
That's right.
by
The
the
interview's
time we're
not
done.
over. So currently, you're working in psychiatry and neuroscience, and you're merging kind of personal storytelling with research. So, what's one science-based wellness tip that you would give to the listeners that they could try today?
I would say my number one tip to people is that self-care is not a cure, it's a vaccine. And a lot of times we think about taking care of ourselves as something that comes after we're burned out. That's the model of wellness that we live in, right? You work hard, play hard. You burn yourself to the ground, and then you go take a spa day and you think that's going to fix everything. You are going to work insane hours that are inhumane and in a toxic workplace environment, and that is not psychologically safe. And then you want to go on vacation to recover from that, right? That is the modern idea of wellness. It's not working. It is not sustainable. And it is very, very ineffective. And I see patients coming through my doors in my office every single day who are struggling with depression, who are struggling with anxiety disorders, and worse, because they've been in this cycle of work hard, play hard for so long. And at some point, you're going to hit a wall and it's inevitable. So life is not like that. We're not designed as human beings to operate that way. We're not created, that's not natural for us. So play has to be integrated in your life alongside work. Life, it's not work-life balance, it's work-life integration. And all these things come together. And so self-care, you need to build it in. I often give the analogy that you treat your mental health like you would treat your dental health. We don't wait for a cavity to happen or a tooth to fall out before we start brushing and flossing our teeth. I hope not. So we don't need to wait for burnout or depression or anxiety or a diagnosis of some sort in order to start taking care of ourselves. That's not sustainable and it's not healthy. So if there's anything you can do is to build proactive time, to proactive you time, proactive self-care time into your day, 10 minutes a day. It's all about consistency, small steps that are consistent. If you go to the gym 10 minutes a day, that's much better than doing a workout once a month, right? So similar analogy, 10 minutes a day, half an hour a day, whatever you can do, you owe it to yourself, you deserve it to take care of yourself. Lean into things that bring you joy. We oftentimes in mental health talk about triggers. What triggers us? What triggers that depression, that anxiety, those bad feelings? I mean, no feelings are bad, but those difficult feelings. However, think about what are, instead of triggers, think about glimmers. What are the things that bring you joy? What are the things that put a smile on your face? What are things you find meaning in and purpose in, and lean into those? Is it watching a sunset? Is it reading a book? Is it spending time with your loved one? Is it going for a walk in the park? And give yourself that. Allow yourself to have that for a little time, whatever you can afford every single day, and you will see the benefits of it will be long lasting. So treat your self-care as a vaccine, not a cure.
I love that. I was going to ask, well, it doesn't take, how much time does it take? And you answered the question, 10 minutes, if that's what you have.
Yeah.
I also love what are the glimmers in your life? When I talk about stress management, I give an exercise, and it could be 1 minute, it could be five, depends on how long the program is, could be 10. Write down everything that makes your life great, all the great things in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then whoever has the most wins a book, but they also then read their list. And what happens is people go, oh, yeah, that's one for me too. Then add it to your list and then pull that list out every morning. Glimmers are so important.
And the power of gratitude, and you do that so well, Phil. Like, every single day you put out these posts of things you're grateful for. That is an incredibly powerful tool to cultivate feelings of wellness. Gratitude is it actually wires our brain to look for those glimmers, to look for the positives in our life. And the more grateful we are for what we have, the more we attract more of it. And that's the energy that we put out into the world. So, it cultivates a growth mindset and an abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset. So, there you go. Like, you're a prime example of leading into glimmers and practicing gratitude.
Well, thank you very much. Tell me about Brave Beginnings and your nonprofit.
Well, Brave Beginnings is my little brainchild. I came up with the concept a few years ago because I realized that, what was the game changer in my journey. And as an aside, women who are in abusive marriages and abusive relationships leave on average 7 times and go back before they're finally able to leave. And some of them never leave at all. I went back 5 times. And the primary reason, one of the most important reasons, is loneliness and isolation and stigma and not knowing what comes ahead. So that's fear of the unknown. And the game changer in my life, that 6th time when I left and I was actually able to move forward instead of go back, was the community that I had. So I was living on campus housing. I was working on campus housing. I had friends. I had mentors who helped me make decisions, professors who championed me and believed in me. And that is ultimately what helped me move forward with my life instead of go back again. And I wanted to create that for other women out there who are also going through that same journey or similar journeys. So that's what Brave Beginnings is a mentoring program. And it's a peer-based mentoring and community system for women who have escaped, who have made that decision that I'm going to leave and I'm going to move forward. And that is the most vulnerable time where we need to step in and help them rebuild that life that they've always dreamed of, and help propel them forward instead of go back. So if you want to learn more, bravebeginnings.ca is the website.
That's so good. It's such a great example of paying it forward and helping the next group of people fry their chickens. So
Yeah,
very impressive.
love it.
All right. Well, I warned you these were coming. So here's the first question. We ask all the guests this question because ChatGPT put it out there one day and I said, well, that's an unbelievably silly question. So it has to be on the podcast.
Okay.
And the question is, would you rather fight one horse-sized chicken or 100 chicken-sized horses, and why?
Oh, definitely the second one.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
because your fears, they it's never one big thing. It's like, it's like little things that come up all the time. And it's kind of this constant banter in your head, and you're always in that fight. So having this one big thing, even if I fight it and win it, another big thing is going to appear eventually.
Well,
So
there's going to be more chicken-sized horses coming.
exactly. And you pick the ones you want to fight, and the other ones you kind of shoo them away and let them be, and you pick your battles. So absolutely the second one.
That may be the best answer yet, but we're going to keep asking the question on future
Yeah.
podcasts. All right, so now is the random pop-up question. We have 3 questions. The way the game is played is I'm going to have ChatGPT put up the questions. I won't know them, you won't know them. You get first choice. You can answer the question or you can pass it to me. Sound
Okay.
fair? All right, here we go.
Right.
Ready, set, and go. If you had to replace your phone's ringtone with one animal sound for the rest of your life, would you pick a quacking duck, a neighing horse, or a chicken doing karaoke?
Oh, well, in the spirit of this podcast, a chicken doing karaoke. Like,
If you had passed that to me, that was going to be the answer.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, like, I'm on a podcast called Fry Your Chicken. There's no way I'm not going to pick that.
I'm going to pick a duck. Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Second one. We got a theme going here. Don't blame me, blame ChatGPT.
Okay.
Imagine Canada decided to change its national animal from the beaver. Which would you nominate? A moose in a tuxedo, a polite goose, or a rubber chicken? Now you already did the rubber chicken one, so I'm fine with you saying not a rubber chicken for your national animal.
Okay. Well, I mean, then the obvious choice would be a moose in a tuxedo. Like it's Canada. Like, and I mean, the other one was what? A goose?
Yeah, a polite goose.
Like, there's no such thing as a polite goose.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're awful. They're just a menace. So,
That's why they all left Canada and came down here because everybody in Canada
well,
was too
no, we've
polite.
got a lot here already. Like, we still have a lot here. So I don't think they've all left, but we've just given you a taste.
I can't believe there's more in the world than what we see, but okay. All right. A moose in a tuxedo. I agree with that 100%. I just got this visual of a moose in a tuxedo. Looks elegant.
Yeah, that just fits. That really
Yeah.
fits. Yeah.
If you were forced to eat only one food shape forever, cubes, spheres, or spirals, which would you choose and why? And you can pick another shape if you want, because that's pretty much one food shape forever.
Cubes, squares. No, wait, cubes, so
Spheres
spheres.
or spirals.
Ah, I would say spirals. I feel like with spheres, like it just reminds me of those, the bubble tea, like those little balls in bubble tea, and I can't ever bite into them, and it's
Right?
just so unsatisfying because they're so slimy, and yeah, I don't like them.
Yeah. Yeah, tapioca
I
is
would
the,
say spiral, like the rotini pasta I love. So that
that's a
kind of,
good one.
yeah,
I think so. If it was circles, see, I was thinking, well, triangles would be nice because then I got pizza and pie,
yeah,
but that
yeah,
wasn't an option. But circles, you could say, well, burgers, you would actually have a whole pizza, and
yeah.
probably health wise, that would mean for the rest of my life would not be altogether that long. So,
Yeah. Triangle would have been good. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's why you got to have fun, and that's why
Yes.
I enjoy
I
it.
don't know what cube would be apart from like chocolate, I guess.
Not bad. Cheese cubes.
Cheese, yeah, cheese cubes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe if you make a square cake or a square lasagna, that could be a
There
cube.
you go. Yeah, that would work. I don't know that there are many cubed vegetables, which would probably be a problem eventually if
Yeah.
I
I mean,
didn't.
if you cut steak into perfect cubes,
Absolutely.
yeah, I could do
Croutons.
that. Yeah,
Croutons.
cute croutons, yeah. Yeah. See, we've come up with a whole menu.
I know, right? And never once. I guess you could cut vegetables. I mean, baby carrots, you could cut them into cubes, whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I know. More like cylinders, I would say. But yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a gadget out there for
there's a lot. That's a lot of work. So
it.
fortunately, we have different shapes for food. Let me ask you this: what chicken do you constantly have to fry? I mean, you have fried a lot. You are like the Canadian lady, Colonel Sanders, basically. But what chicken do you constantly have to fry, and what tricks have you learned to fry that chicken?
I think personally for me, it is imposter syndrome. That's the chicken that I have to constantly fry. And here's my take on imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is not real. It's not a thing. It's a feeling. So it's not a reality, it's a feeling. It's not a syndrome. Like it's more like a feeling of this doesn't feel right or it feels fake. And where it comes from is being told for a long time by multiple people. In my case, pretty much my entire family, my entire childhood was like this, my marriage was like this, that you can't achieve your dreams. Your dreams are unrealistic. So and now today, because of my tenacity and resilience and my ability to fry chickens and all of that, that I'm achieving my dreams, it that the messaging in my head, in my subconscious is still, are you sure you're going to do this? Are you sure you're good enough for this? And that is very, very natural consequence of being told that you're not good enough for so long. So the trick that I have is I don't fight it anymore. I used to fight it. I'm like, why am I still feeling this? Why am I not over this yet? Like, it's been like freaking 10 years since I've left my marriage. Why do I still think this way? And that, what that does is that kind of talk is self-shaming. And shame is the worst possible motivator. It's not even a motivator. Shame actually shuts down the learning centers of your brain, the dopamine and reward system. It gets shuts down by shame. Instead, the key is to accept it with compassion and say, okay, I know where this is coming from. All right, I actually talk to it. All right, I know my very faithful imposter syndrome friend. You can sit with me, we can hold hands, and we're still going to go up on that stage and do that speech. We're still going to write that book. We're still going to go after that next award. We're still going to go after that next promotion. We're still going to become a doctor, and you're just going to come along for the ride. Because, you know, you're there. I know you're there, but I call the shots. I am the boss, not you. And I'm not going to fight you, but I'm also not going to let you take control of me. And that has worked wonders. So now when I feel it, it's not a shock. It's not a judgment. It's simply, oh, yeah, all right, you're here again. Let's go for this next ride.
Wow, that's really good. I read somewhere long ago about those tapes that are built inside of you and from a very early age, and it's so hard to change the messaging, but you have found an excellent way to do it.
Yeah, because, you know, like I say oftentimes that people can go out of our lives and still live on in our minds. And just because the people who said those things to me are out of my life doesn't mean that their words are not affecting me. And they always will. We don't move on from trauma, we move on with it. We move on with adversity, we move on with grief. So these things stay with us. They become part of our psychological blueprint. And we cannot work against our psychological blueprint. We work with it. And that's what plasticity is about. It's about rewiring our brain, but it starts with accepting where it is. We cannot change what we hate. We can only change and heal what we love. So it starts with loving and accepting ourselves the way we are, and then committing to change and progress over time.
That's incredible. This is You have had an incredible journey so far. What's next?
There's a lot of things that I'm working on. Some I can talk about, some I can't. But I will say this: I am working on my third book. That's all I will say right now. But it's very, very excited about it. And yeah, I'm working with a lot. Like I'm working on my speaking a lot because you know when I started speaking, it was like sharing my story, and now it's evolved a lot from there. So like the whole evolution of it, the rebranding, it's very, very exciting. So that's something that's taking up a lot of my creative energy, and you know, it's not like creative energy is finite. I think it's just something that I'm very excited about. And then, you know, my training as a psychiatrist, like I'm halfway through it and it's absolutely wonderful. Like I always knew that I would like it. That's why I chose to do it. And I, you know, left a perfectly stable career to go into medical school. But I think I underestimated how much I would like it. Like there's a very profound sense of privilege that comes with the work of sitting with somebody in such vulnerability and holding that space for them. And something that one of my supervisors said to me a few years ago, that the thing that's common, you know, the one thing that's common between a surgeon and a psychiatrist is that in front of a surgeon, a patient is most vulnerable in a physical way. You know, when they're unconscious, they're, you know, under general anesthesia, the surgeon can do whatever. And in front of a psychiatrist, a patient is most vulnerable in an emotional way, in a mental way. And to be able to hold space for somebody in their most vulnerable times and be able to help them see the light that they have within themselves it's such an honor. And every day that I do this work, I just feel so grateful. I feel like, I'm so grateful that I chose this work and the work chose me because it's a co-creation. And I'm just very excited to continue in my journey as a psychiatrist and see as many and make a difference in as many people's lives as I possibly can. And then my daughters, of course, my older daughter just graduated and she's now a journalist, and my younger one is going into filmmaking and media production. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to be up to next.
That's awesome. That's incredible. Any final words before we close?
The words that I would leave people with is that treat yourself with the same love, kindness, and empathy that you give to others. We are so quick to forgive others, and we take so much time to forgive ourselves, and we never quite get there. And even when we do forgive ourselves, it's very half-assed. So it's really important to give ourselves that kindness and that love and that support. And it's a superpower. It's a superpower that enables you to do so many amazing things and makes you unstoppable, because self-compassion and self-love is what actually motivates you in the real sense. It actually helps you move forward. It helps you uncover different opportunities and spread goodness in the world. And, so think of wherever those deep, dark corners are, even the language we use around adversity and trauma are like the skeletons in your closet and the demons and all of that. It has such a negative connotation to it. We think that these things that happen to us in life, and, sometimes horrible things that happen to us, and a lot of horrible things have happened to me. And we tend to start hating them. Oh, I hate that this happened. Yes, what happened was not good. But in order to heal, you can't start from a place of hate. So if there are parts of you that are aching for your love and for your compassion, then give yourself that. Allow yourself to give love to those parts, because you can only heal what you love. And when we give ourselves that compassion, kindness, love, curiosity, and acceptance, that's when we become truly unstoppable. So that is my takeaway message to a lot of people. And that actually enables you to fry more chickens than you ever thought you could.
Love it. Where can we find you online?
I am pretty much everywhere. I am on Instagram. My Instagram handle is I am Samra Zafar. My website is samrazafar.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very approachable. Write to me, send me a DM. I almost always respond, unless it's spam or something. Don't try to sell me something, but otherwise I will respond. And I look forward to hearing from you.
Samra, this has been a masterclass in frying chickens. I'm so glad we got to sit down and talk today.
Thank you for having me.
I wish you all the best, and thank you again for being on Fry Your Chickens.
Thank you so much, Phil. It was such a blast, and I wish you all the best with this podcast, with so much more, everything you're doing. And you shared your vision at one of my keynotes last year, and I oftentimes think about that when I get into that mindset of like scarcity and I don't know if I'll be able to achieve it. I'm like, remember what Phil did. Remember what Phil said. So you're helping me fry my chickens too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Phil. Like today's show? Well, you'll clucking love my Fry Your Chickens newsletter on LinkedIn and Substack. Links are in the notes.